Welcome to Armanino's Salesforce Summer Release 2021 webinar. My name is Kim Anselmo, and I'll be helping run our presentation logistics for today. But before we get started, let's go through some of the Zoom webinar tips for how you can engage with our presenters. First way is to click on the Ask the Questions in the Q&A box located on the Zoom webinar toolbar. Go ahead and enter your question through there at any point. I do want to let you know that our presenters will be answering questions at the end of the webinar given time. If we don't get to answer your question live, we will be following up personally to answer that for you. There's also a chat button that you can click where you can also submit a question or send a personal question or response to one of the presenters as well. And if at any time during the presentation you have any difficulties or need some help with anything, do raise your hand and I will get in touch with you to work you through that as well. Also, you have the option to adjust your audio. So in the meeting controls, you can click the arrow next to the mute and unmute in the lower left corner of your screen and click on the audio options and the window will pop open for you. If you click on the test speakers, you should hear a play test tone. And if you don't, go ahead and select the menu and drop down and switch your speaker ability. That should help. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our presenters today, Chris Stiegel and Turner Jones, to tell you a little bit about themselves and get us started.
Thanks, Kim. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Good day, wherever you are. It's Chris Stiegel. I'm the director of our Salesforce practice at Armanino. I come to Armanino with about 22 years of solution sales, technology, and program management experience. I've worked across a variety of technologies. I actually got into the Salesforce ecosystem in 2018 while I was with Accenture, and I've been in account executive and senior sales roles primarily up until now when I became the Salesforce practice lead at Armanino. So thrilled to be here. Thrilled to share information about today's content, which is all related to Salesforce's summer release. And with that, Turner, tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get right into today's content.
Yeah, my name is Turner Jones and I am a Salesforce solution architect at Armanino. I've been doing Salesforce consulting for the past 5 years and I'm 10-time Salesforce certified. I've got a lot of experience across nonprofits, Sales Cloud, and Service Cloud. And before I got into the Salesforce world, I was came up through public accounting. So I've got 5 years of public accounting, and I'm also a CPA in Texas.
Awesome, thank you. So just quickly about Armanino, most of you may have a pretty good idea of who we are as a firm, but just to recap, because our business is changing so much and so rapidly, we are a nationwide CPA consulting firm, about the 20th largest in the nation, growing very quickly. We've got about 1,500 employees spread across the US. We are an extremely experienced accounting firm, so very, very solid on the financial side, which makes us an ideal candidate for as a Salesforce partner, because we really bring the strength of our financial and accounting background to bear when we help our clients understand what's happening on the sales side of their organization and how that might impact them from a financial standpoint. So not only Salesforce partnerships, we're the world's largest Sage Intacct partner and a very large partner with Microsoft in their technology stack that includes their ERP. So let's proceed through these slides, Kim, and a little bit about, again, Salesforce and Armanino, just to go deeper into that differentiator, what makes us special. Most of our clients choose us not strictly because of our Salesforce capabilities, but because we're able to bring that specialization, that end-to-end solution that really leverages our knowledge of not only CRM, but ERP, procurement, FP&A. We're really in a position to advise our clients in the best possible way to how to optimize that lead to cash workflow. And so when it comes down to the tactical needs of the system, we're experts in CPQ. So we understand Salesforce's approach with configure, price, quote. And more importantly, again, we understand how that impacts the downstream ERP processes. So let's proceed through this. We won't drain every one of these slides. Today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the summer release. We're going to try to explain in simple terms what the functionality does, so that you understand what Salesforce's summer release is all about. Obviously, the release is huge. Most of you that are in the Salesforce ecosystem understand that each release comes with tons and tons of additional functionality and improvements. We selected some that we think are most relevant to you. So we hope to be able to also demonstrate why it matters to you and your team and what it might be able to do for your business. So with that, I think we're ready to go into our agenda, where we chose 4 areas of the Salesforce summer release to talk about. Turner's going to lead us off and talk about nonprofit cloud. I'm going to talk about sales and service, and then we're going to wrap it up with Turner again to talk a little bit about general functionality. There's a ton in this release. A lot of it's very exciting. So without any further delay, let's get into today's content and take you through what we're excited about Salesforce's summer release.
All right, so we're going to start off talking about nonprofit cloud. We've picked a few of the items from the release for this. So something that Salesforce has come out in the past couple of years with is called Salesforce Elevate. And Elevate is a connected suite of products that connects Salesforce.org payment services and your giving pages online. So it actually acts as a one-stop shop for your giving platform. The benefit to using Salesforce Elevate is that it puts all of your data in one place. So you can leverage Salesforce as your single source of truth from your giving pages, which are on your website, and then automatically get that information recorded in nonprofit cloud, which is great. There are flexible payment options. So right now they support Stripe, Authorize.net, and IAT. And with their new, or with this release, they actually have it so that you can launch fundraising campaigns with just a few clicks. So pretty awesome. With the new release, they've also given you the ability to support custom fields on your giving pages. So if you do have like custom information that you want to collect from your donors, you can actually do that now, which is great. And let's see. And like this or that functionality is really great for, collecting information from your donors on like if they're interested in volunteering or coming to an event, what marketing emails maybe they're interested in receiving, and updates, newsletters, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then over on the right, you can kind of see the interface for it. It's really great. It's drag and drop fields. And what you can do is so from the payment fields, you just drag and drop fields that exist in Salesforce onto your form. And once you've got your form branded and ready to go, all you do is click a link and it'll actually pull up the code for your website. So they've given you the ability to generate these standalone giving pages. So if you wanted to have like a standalone giving page for an event, that is now available with this release. Cool. And then let's go on to the next. Perfect. So another recent enhancement with Nonprofit Cloud is called the Program Management Module. So the Program Management Module is a part of Nonprofit Cloud, just like NPSP is a part of Nonprofit Cloud. And this module actually allows you to define programs and services that a nonprofit delivers. So it works with NPSP to help you track the people, the households, organizations, and other entities that you interact with. And it's got a lot of really great out-of-the-box reporting as well. So you can see just an example of a dashboard that you could create with active enrollees in a program up there. And the best part about this is that it's getting all of that data into Salesforce and allowing you to report on it. And just something that's interesting is that you don't actually need nonprofit or NPSP to work with this. So if you are an organization that does some sort of program delivery or classroom type of training, this might be a program that could help you track attendance for some things. But one of the enhancements that they've come out with this release is the ability to take attendance really quickly. So if you can see on these screenshots, it's got a track attendance button on here, or a lightning component. And what that does is it pulls up a list of all of your enrollees in a program and allows you to mark them present or absent without going into each individual record. Over on the right here too, we've got a list of recent sessions. So it pulls up, it's a lightning component that pulls up all of your sessions by date and lets you know if attendance has been taken. But these are just a few components, I guess, of the program management module. There's a ton of functionality in this that can be utilized. Cool, let's go on to the next one. All right, Experience Cloud for nonprofits. So Salesforce has made a lot of improvements around this over the past couple of years as well. So really creating those templates and kind of out-of-the-box functionalities that nonprofits can use. So there's a Experience Cloud is basically a way for any company to create some engaging portals, forums, or sites, starting with pre-built templates that Salesforce offers. So you're really extending your CRM to give you that client-facing side. And over the past couple of years, launching these has just gotten better and better and faster, just with the vast array of with the vast array of lightning components and templates that they have available. So for nonprofits, some use cases for these portals or sites, a lot of nonprofits have shifted to these kinds of experiences for volunteers. You can actually provide and track training and resources for your volunteers, help your volunteers log hours, sign up for future shifts, and complete applications. You can also create branded donor portals, giving your donors the ability to donate, view giving history, and update contact information. Also, your community partners. If you're an organization that gives out grants or works with a lot of different organizations, it's a great place to facilitate your communication and share information. And then with Experience Cloud, you have the ability to create mobile branded apps. So once you've got your portal set up, you can actually submit a request to Salesforce to create a mobile branded app and then get that on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, which is really awesome. All right, you're going to go on to the next slide. So this is actually another example of a Salesforce Experience Cloud portal. So they've just come out with a grants management portal, which allows grant makers to easily engage with their grantees. So it's like a one-stop shop for grantees to find the programs that they want to apply for funding for, report on outcomes, and view the schedules that they will receive.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks,
and
Turner.
now I'll turn it over to Chris. Yeah, absolutely.
And now Turner will turn it over to me while I talk over Turner. Turner, no, thanks. That was great. You know what I hope you heard, even if you're on the for-profit side, what I hope you heard from Turner is a couple of phrases, and you're going to see those recurring themes as we talk about sales and service. But Salesforce extending the capability of the platform, but not only in terms of functionality, but offering ways to drag and drop, point and click, very low code, no code type solutions that are available. So Kim, let's go to the next slide and we'll start talking about some more examples of how Salesforce is extending the platform. So pipeline inspection is an awesome new piece of functionality. This is a static shot. So I would encourage you to watch the 3-minute demo of this particular piece of functionality from this release, because it's actually a lot more robust and exciting than it appears on a static form. But you can tell from this image that just top to bottom, there's a couple of interesting new capabilities involved. So you can show opportunities that are closing on a duration of time. In this particular case, it's for the month, but you could do it for the quarter. You could do it for a particular salesperson, or you could roll that up and look at a team. On the line item level, just if I can draw your attention to the opportunity called square widget and circle widgets, you'll see an example of how a sales leader could quickly isolate those opportunities where he or she needed to give more focus. So in this particular case, this opportunity is increased in value, but the close date has pushed. The stage has pulled back. The forecast category looks like it has been pulled back as well from maybe something like closer to a decision or closer to commit to something that this company refers to as pipeline. So in Armanino, if I moved an opportunity from forecast back to pipeline, that would show up in red, and my sales leader would be able to see that very quickly and then get involved and see what they could do to help advance that opportunity and move it to closure more quickly. So if you can picture the stage reverted pop-up box gone, you can start to imagine that you have a list of opportunities, and you can very quickly through the visualization that's offered by this pipeline inspection tool to quickly see those opportunities where you need to get involved. And then you also have the ribbon at the top above the list of opportunities that shows you total pipe, closed one, what's in the forecast, what's that open pipe look like, how much have we moved in, how much have we moved out, all those things that are very important for sales leaders in terms of how we're forecasting the business. And in Armanino's world, and it's true with our clients as well, this kind of data is absolutely critical because our business, we're in professional services. And as much as I would like to say that this is true, it's not. We don't have the resources on the bench at every moment ready and waiting to go to work. We have to plan ahead. And especially true in the Salesforce world, where resources are very, very hard to come by, quite honestly. So all of this forecasting capability is not just so that we know what our sales look like as a firm or what your sales might look like as a business, but how is that impacting your supply chain for resources, for manufacturing, or whatever it is that you need to stage in order to be able to deliver to your customers. So pretty excited about this new view. Let's go on to the next one, and we'll talk a little bit more about. Turner in the nonprofit world. Sorry, Turner, is it Elevate? Did I forget the name, the product? Is that the?
Yep, that's right.
So that's a suite of tools brought together. So you're starting to see Salesforce bringing suites together, bringing sets together to deliver functionality. And let's go on to the next slide because I'll speak to kind of both, Kim. But we're starting to see that with Salesforce, integrating with Google, integrating with Microsoft. Starting to actually, let's go back. I'm sorry, I did skip over. If we can just go back to the previous slide. So bringing Salesforce and Microsoft together, allowing that Outlook integration to happen in a much easier way than before, easy installation, easy capability. And now we'll go on to Salesforce and its integration with Microsoft, if we can, please. So this slide is depicting the marriage of Salesforce and Microsoft Teams coming together. It's not generally available. It says that in the title. It's not. I believe it's still in a pilot phase. So please talk to your account executive before you get too far along with this kind of capability. But just know that we have demoed this. We have seen it. We're starting to test this. But what you're seeing with the images on the right is actually a Salesforce panel inside of Teams. So you're in Teams, you're working in Teams. You can actually affect the opportunity. You can update records. You can facilitate collaboration. You can post important events to Chatter in Salesforce, but do it directly from Teams. So it's not all bidirectional. It's not all completely integrated, but it's very powerful to be able to pull up Teams, to be able to see Salesforce fields, to see objects in Salesforce, and be able to affect those objects in those fields from Teams. So really excited to see that level of integration happening. And then on the next slide, if you would please. This is just even more of the integration of activity, right? The ease of use of the system, of not only setting it up, configuring it, but how do you sync email, calendar, and events in Salesforce from other applications like Microsoft or Google? So your teams can continue to work in those applications. It allows you to take full advantage of your technology stack, to rationalize where it makes sense. We always want to figure out how can we move applications to Salesforce when it makes sense. But if the firm is using, if your company is using Google, if you're using Microsoft and you're comfortable with that technology stack, you don't have to ask your users to swivel as much between applications to get work done. So you're making your users' life much easier, and you're adding a ton of efficiency. And more importantly, you're ensuring accuracy and consistency of data, where in the past, when you're asking users to swivel between applications, you're replicating data, you're dirtying your data, you're complicating your data, you're making your reporting extremely difficult. All of these steps with functionality like Einstein activity capture help to reduce some of the complexity and some of the challenges that you face when you're trying to ask your users to work in multiple applications. So from a practical standpoint, because we all know that Salesforce has limitations, we're on a multi-tenant platform. We all get that. So we have some limitations on storage. We have some limitations on triggers and flows and just what we're asking the system to do. When you utilize Einstein activity capture, this data is not stored inside Salesforce. So it does not affect your data allocations, and there's no additional cost for this Salesforce. This functionality is generally available and ready to go. So let's take a look at the next slide, please. Again, won't spend a lot of time on this. Turner and I have not explored any of this deeply yet, but we're really looking forward to seeing the application of this kind of visualization capability. So Jennifer Lauren on the right is making changes through the mobile application. And by the way, the power of the mobile application is continuing to increase at a rapid rate. For instance, in this summer release, you can now actually update forecasts through the mobile app, where before you could not. So you and your field members are making changes on the fly, and then that data is coming together, and leaders can start to see examples of visualization with that data. In this screenshot, you're seeing a geo, right? A location-based visualization of the data. But you can also see on the left panel, it's too small to really identify what it is, but there's other pieces of data and information coming together. In the end, what we're trying to do is improve the quality of data. We're trying to improve the speed of decision-making from a Sales Cloud standpoint, ultimately we're trying to drive from lead to closed won, or lead to close lost, frankly, to a decision point more quickly, more accurately, more effectively. And these tools are helping do that. So it's pretty exciting to continue to see how Salesforce evolves. The last slide I believe I have is before we talk about service, just a couple of notes about safety, right? I mean, it's obviously become a overriding issue, a major topic of conversation. We're talking a lot about it in Armanino as we start to reopen our offices. We have offices throughout the country, and we have, where Turner is in Dallas, the local authorities have made decisions about reopening following COVID at a different rate than we are in California, for example, or in Chicago. So as those decisions are being made, and as we're trying to figure out how to reconnect person to person, whether that's in the office or with our clients, there are tools that are helping ensure safety. So the COVID trend layer data is already available. It has been available, but we now have in-field safety questionnaires, templates that are pre-built into the system that allow check-in, check-out, that allow you to see, ask a set of questions, make sure that a sort of a pre-meeting checklist of questions is captured, and that you've got your safety measures in place to ensure that you're following your local, your state, your local, and your company protocols. So next slide, please, if you could. So getting down into we get really excited at Armanino about this functionality. I mean, we are an accounting firm. Most of our revenue actually comes from technology and consulting opportunities, including Salesforce. So we get excited about CPQ because it really speaks to the heart of who we are as a firm. The learning point here around CPQ enhancements is that Salesforce just continues to recognize the power of this platform, obviously doing a lot more with Revenue Cloud and billing and what that means to our clients. So we're excited as a firm to continue to learn about that. But for now, just from a pure CPQ standpoint, doubling the number of lines in a contract, basically making it absolutely true that if you can quote it, you can order it, you can contract it, you can amend it, and you can renew it if that's your business, right? If you're in a subscription-based renewal type business, just more transaction capability, more complexity that we can configure into CPQ, starting to remove the limitations so that we can do end-to-end what we need to do within the CPQ environment, and not have to build something customized or look to an additional application to handle more complexity. So just know that if you are a CPQ user, or if you have been thinking about it, and you've been held back by what you've heard about limitations around the platform, we can help you assess whether or not CPQ is a fit. And if you're ready to extend CPQ because it's just time to do more with the application, we're ready to help you do that too. So let's go on to the next slide, please. I think I'm finishing with loyalty management before we move on to service. I hope I'm right about that. Loyalty management, this is great. This is this is a concept that we're really excited to see, that allows our users to start really bringing their incentives to the table inside Salesforce. So you've always rewarded your consumers, you've always rewarded your B2B partners, but you've done it ad hoc, or catch as catch can. You've never really had the opportunity to bring it together. As Turner said earlier, in the nonprofit world, where Salesforce is core to your enterprise, it's core to your technology stack, it needs to be a system that can perform as the single source of truth, if that's your strategy, or certainly be a very reliable place to house data and to understand how these relationships are working, whether it's a consumer relationship or a B2B partner. So with loyalty management, it's generally available technology. You can configure and manage your rewards programs. And so the example is a good one, right? An outdoor retailer can promote a ski trip by way of a partnership with a local ski resort. You can track and maintain that relationship all once in Salesforce so that you know exactly how that program is performing. You can reward your business partner. Maybe you work through distributors, maybe you work through a network of partners, however that might look, but you can find ways to capture your rewards and your relationships all within the system. So loyalty management has a ton of power. I think this is, in the world that we live in, I think loyalty is continuing to become a more and more important component of our business that we want to track and report on and visualize. And Salesforce is stepping up to the plate to make that happen. So next slide, please. Service. We didn't spend a ton of time on service, but let's go right into it, Kim. And then I'm going to hand it back to Turner to talk about the general functionality in the platform. Service Cloud, there's so much happening in service. It was actually a little bit difficult to figure out, what do we want to talk about, and within the time constraints that we have for today's webinar, just know that this one example is just a kind of a microcosm of what Salesforce is doing with Service Cloud. It's called Appointment Assistant, and it really just gives you as an organization, if you have field service, if you have a use case where this would be helpful, where customers through by way of a community, another portal, by way of text, by SMS message, mobile, being able to communicate with your customers so that they know when services are on the way, whether that's a help situation, whether it's, I got a call from my HVAC guy, and it would be very nice to just have an application where I could see that he was on the way, or I could see that, there's something going on in that relationship. That's the kind of use case that we're talking about, where you might want to communicate with your customers about your arrival time. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap up my section of today's webinar, and we're going to let Turner finish out our day with some really interesting topics on general functionality within the platform. Take it away, Turner. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So the majority of our, Kim, do you want to go on to the next slide? The majority of our general functionality today is going to be talking about improvements made to flows in Salesforce. So over the past, 4 or 5 releases, Salesforce has done a ton of, has released a lot of functionality within their flows. Salesforce is trying to make flows their no-code automation kind of home at this point. So a lot of the functionality that you see with Process Builder and workflow rules are starting to be integrated into flows, which is great. So it really is going to become the one-stop shop. So something they have just released is multi-column screen flows. So it allows you to have multiple sections, multiple columns, which really gives you that ability to have rich layouts without writing any code on your screen flows. Something also great that they have just introduced is you can have conditional visibility on these groupings. So instead of applying that conditional visibility to individual fields, you can apply it to a whole grouping at once. Yeah, and let's go on to the next one, Tim. This is also a huge improvement in flows. So flows now can leverage the fields that exist within your organization. So previously, that functionality didn't exist. So you would actually have to set up the fields and basically map them to the fields that existed in your org. So this functionality is saving a ton of clicks, a ton of time. And as you make changes to the fields in your org, those changes are automatically inherited by your screens. So for example, the name of the field, any help text, required status, and the values on pick list. So it's just awesome, honestly, because before if you made a change in your org that affected a field on a flow, it would just break the whole flow. So this is huge improvements in functionality, really exciting. And then over on the right, you just got an example of a flow, a screen flow that's got, so you can see it's got 2 columns up at the top, and then just a section at the bottom that's got some additional fields. And then screen flows are great because they will also work right on your mobile device. So you can see that it's mobile, as you build it, it just is mobile enhanced. So you've got the view of the phone right there. So some additional functionality that's come out is the ability to debug flows or debug record triggered flows. So in previous releases, if you had a record triggered flow, it wasn't the easiest thing to debug. So they've added in this functionality so that you can skip starting conditions to get it to test the flow's logic independently. You can now run it as a different user, which is great. If you have a complicated permission structure, testing flows for individual users is tedious. There always could be one permission for one user that you could just that you would always miss, right? And now you also have the ability to roll back database changes. So fields are not, or so records are not affected as you're debugging if you're having to debug in production. Another feature is that flows are now, failed flows are automatically saved to setup now. So as an administrator, something that always was a sore on my side was the getting the error emails emailed to you and then being unable to find the error emails. So they're now saved and set up. So this gives you kind of some screenshots of the functionality that they've come up with. So you can actually click on those and see the whole error log, which is great, instead of digging through your deleted items in your inbox. And here's just an overview of some of the recent flow enhancements that have come out. So running the flow in rollback mode, so changes aren't committed to the database. You now have the ability to input record variables a lot easier. So you don't have to go get the Salesforce ID. You can actually just link to the record directly. Debugging as a user came out in winter 21, and then path highlighting has been really, really beneficial. So that you can, if you do have a lot of decision points in your flows, you can see the route that the flow is taking. And then in spring 21, debug from email came out. So you can actually click the link and it takes you to the flow builder so that you can debug the flow there, which is great. All right, so I believe that's all the flow talk that we have. The next one is sharing and Lightning experience. So up until this release, sharing and Lightning experience have not really caught up to sharing in Salesforce Classic. So now you'll see that there is the ability to share records with the sharing action. And it gives you the ability to manually share records with users in Lightning experience. You can also view a sharing hierarchy. Can you go back one? There we go. You can also view a sharing hierarchy on here, so you can see who has access to it. And if you drill down even further into that, into the user access details, it will tell you why someone has access, which is great because we all know that Salesforce's permissions are very robust, so it can be hard to track down permissions. So on this one, you can see that that our employee has access through an opportunity sharing rule. Okay, there we go. Now can we go on to the next one? Another functionality that just came out is the ability to have mass actions in a split view on a page. So we're all used to this functionality on a normal record list view. It's just come out now on the split view. So you can affect up to 200 records at once, which is great. And yeah, save a lot of time. So like in this example, you can see that we're checking which contacts we want to add to a campaign. Another use case could be mass updating, like a follow-up status on a list of opportunities, or mass changing their statuses, or you know, estimated revenue, that kind of thing. All right, let's go on to the next one. Another great thing that's come out is Salesforce now has an app in your org called Your Account, and it'll easily allow you to add new features and add licenses as you need them in Salesforce without having to contact your account executive. Yeah, it's just a lot more streamlined. So it's a great way to discover new features as well. Another or additional functionality that's come out is called Salesforce Learning Paths, and you'll probably seen them on here. They just keep getting better and better. So as you go to a page in Salesforce, you can actually click an icon up in your menu bar, and it will suggest courses for you to take. So right now we can see that we're on an opportunity in this screenshot, and this organization is actually using My Trailhead, which is a custom trailhead for this organization. And you can see that these courses are suggested to help their reps complete these opportunities. So it's really pinpointed super specific training courses as they're needed, which is great. And you can also do this with the standard trailheads as well. Okay, we're good. And then here's some more functionality that's come out, just to be aware of. So your custom fields limit is now 900 on an object, up from, I believe it was 500. You can pre-populate dependent pick lists with default values, which is great. Something I'm excited about is inline editing and reports. So that's in beta. So we have inline editing in list views right now, which is super beneficial, but reports is just going to take it one step further. You can download an entire dashboard to an image file now. So before you could download, individual widgets. Now you can get one with the entire dashboard, which is cool. So really easy to display on presentations. And then for Salesforce Mobile, there is Home on Android. And you can actually, administrators can enable and configure mobile security policies, which is great. All right, well, that wraps up the content for today. Thank you for attending. You're going to be receiving a recording of today's presentation and the slides via email. And there are additional resources about Armanino and the Salesforce release following this slide. Have a great rest of your day and hope to see you next time.